Hi everyone, Jacques here again, and I'd like to welcome you to the last of this three-part series called Weeding Out the Rot. Now once again, ROT stands for redundant, obsolete, and trivial, and represents the data that doesn't have any business value. It's estimated that between 40 to 70% of what an organization stores on their network could be classified as ROT, and when you start an information governance initiative, you want to get rid of this. In this demo, we look at the trivial category. These are all the files that never had any business value to begin with, but that users have stored on the network. These very often include media files such as music and videos. We'll see how easy it is to find those files across the network using NetGovern Analyze. Here we go. Okay, we're back in NetGovern Analyze, our main console. When we talk about trivial files here on the network, we normally refer to files that really have no business value and probably have no business being stored on our network, protected and backed up by our RT department, and concerned with privacy and security. So ideally we want to get rid of these files. And so when we go to our reports, one of the things we're going to do right off the top is create a report called, we're going to look at file extensions. So what I'm going to do is call it file extensions, all files. And we're going to look at a file name extension report. This is the easiest way to find all those trivial files that have no business on our network. And I'm going to add, like usual, all my network paths because I want to make sure that I'm gathering information on all of these paths. And I'm going to save. And just like our previous examples, all file extensions, all files is over here, and we can just already preview our report. Here comes our report, and we can look at the top 10 extensions by size. So the first one we have, the biggest type of extension, is a zip file, followed by M4A audio files, MP4, which could be audio or probably video too, temp files, always a lot of temp files, 1,452 temp files. So this red line with those points here indicate the number of these files. So the number of temp files is 1,452, and then the bar graph is the size, how much size they take. So although there are only 2 zip files, they're obviously very big and take up 2 gigs. So the next thing we might want to do is drill down into this stuff. Temp files, 1,452 temp files. So maybe we just want to go to the T and look at our temp files, and we can see the 1,452 here, and we can just click on that, and like all the other reports we've seen in the past, it'll open up a window with the details of where all those files are stored and who owns them and when they were created and all that stuff. So again, all of this, this is a demo environment. So yeah, there are several, 1,400 temp files, but you can just imagine a corporate network whose file systems have been around for, years and years or possibly even decades. There might be tons of these types of files. Now let's see how we can narrow that down even more. If you recall from our part 2 where we said we're elaborating an IG initiative strategy, and we decided that we don't need to keep anything older than 8 years. So one of the things we could quickly do to start trimming the fat, as it were, is go into our setup here for our file extensions and add a filter. Again, the same thing that we did when we were looking at obsolete files, and say show me anything that was modified or accessed 8 years, or anything older than 8 years essentially, and I will save this. And now when I preview my report, I will be looking at any of those file extensions that are 8 years or older. So now you can easily see that my temp files, anything older than 8 years, is what takes up the most amount of space. And what's neat is I can go back down to my temp files here and access the same report, detail report, which will list all of the temp files across the network, so they could be on any office server, in any location, any share. It'll list all of those temp files we found. Now think about it. Is there any reason that any organization would want to keep temp files that are 8 years old or older? Probably not. So what most organizations are going to want to do is most likely export this to CSV and import this list into a workload and enforce, which we'll see again later in another video, to then delete all of those files and start cleaning up. So this is just one way we can quickly look at eliminating the trivial files. So maybe we want to look at MP3s, anything older than 8 years, MP3s, MP4s, old office presentations, open office presentations. Maybe we want to start cleaning that up.
Now, I also, I'm going to point out here, I don't know if you noticed, but after I created my report, we viewed the report, we looked at some of the details, then we came back and we added that filter of 8 years or older. You'll notice I don't really have to do anything else. I don't have to launch another scan. I don't have to re-inventory all the file systems. All the scans and all the inventory information has already been rolled up into the database. All I'm doing here with the report configuration is creating reports and views and filters against all the information in the database. And essentially, you decide, or any organization decides, how often you want to scan those file systems. So in this case, if I'm looking at my file systems, HQ file systems, training file system, and our Atlanta file system here, I've got it set to scan those file systems every Sunday morning, starting at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I can always launch them manually here. So just to keep in mind, it's kind of really neat how this works, because anytime I want to create a new report against my data, so against permissions or against file systems, if I want to modify my report or add filters, there's no need to go back out and re-inventory all of the data and all of the files. Everything's already in the database. I'm just really reporting against what's in there. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you can see again how so easy it is to find that kind of trivial data, stuff that just doesn't belong on your network, and drill down into it and view it and then decide, based on your information governance strategy, whether this has any business being on your network. And if not, there are ways that you can clean it with NetGovern Enforce that we'll see later. So I hope this helped. I hope it gives you an idea how easy it is. And if you have any questions or would like more information or a demo, if you want to do a proof of concept in your own environment, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks.